How many of you set goals in your salon world and then deal with massive frustration when you feel like things are not turning out the way that you expected them to? It could be for social media. It could be for your actual salon performance, right? Very good typically at setting a goal, setting some kind of a target, but that for whatever reason, we're disappointed when we find out that things are not evolving. This happens over and over and over again. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but somehow expecting different results. In today's episode, we're going to teach you how to do things differently so that you can achieve different results, better results that actually serve you and help you achieve your goals that you're setting. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Salon Scoop, a podcast by Salon S.O.S. I'm your host, Scott Moon, the founder of Salon S.O.S., and I'm obsessed with helping salon professionals live their best life. In this show, we shop talk all things salon to bring you real-life stories, debates, entertainment, and inspiration to help you find happiness and success in this beautiful industry. If you work in the salon industry in any capacity, this podcast is open to you. So set down your scissors or rinse out that toner and let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Salon Scoop. As always, I'm your host, Scott Moon, and with me is the one and only Sarah Perrin. Sarah, thank you for joining me again today.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to talk about this. It's something that's huge in our salon that we put a main focus on. So I'm really excited to share kind of what I've learned and what works and what doesn't with the listeners.
Yeah, I hear so much disappointment all the time. It's like, how are things going? Oh, you know what? Like, yeah, we're having a tough month, or we might be halfway through the year. Or what I find disappointing is so often people don't realize that they haven't, kind of been meeting their objectives until it's too late to do anything about it. I think that's totally that's the biggest frustration that I see and that I feel. I'm like, come on, like, how could you not have, sort of been aware of this? And, I look at the simple things on social media. People always say, oh, you know what, like I'm posting, but I'm not actually getting anything, out of it. And it's because they are lacking enough of a clear strategy going into what they're doing. It's kind of like, spraying and praying. And so in today's episode, we're going to really dive into how to master SMART goals in your salon. How many of you have heard of SMART goals? S-M-A-R-T. Hopefully you've heard the concept. We're going to delve into a little bit deeper what exactly that means and look at some examples. And Sarah, I'm so glad because you're one of the smartest people that I know. So very excited to have you with us today to break some examples down in the salon world.
Well, thank you. I don't know if you're patronizing me. I wouldn't classify myself as the smart one, but like you said, I feel like the biggest things with goal setting, and I have been guilty of this, is like just simply setting the goal and just like crossing your fingers that you achieve it within X amount of time isn't enough. It's more just wishful thinking. So I'm excited to kind of talk about like what the tracking process is and how to set these goals that you can actually achieve and how to measure that and everything like that, because that's the missing link I find a lot of the time.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. So SMART goals, not just about having a clear direction, because most of us are pretty good at sort of setting a direction. The key is really, really delving deeper than that. And so we're going to break down SMART into the 5 letters. The S stands for specific goals. So it's really important to create an actual, typically it's a numerical, right, target, not just I want to have more, money or more business, or I want to have more followers on social media. Like, break it down into something very, very specific, right? So instead of, increasing the clients, you want to increase the clients by what percentage or what specific number, right? super important. And the more that you can kind of get specific, it might be with a specific target market, it might be from a specific area. Again, be specific. We'll get into more examples as we go with Sarah. The M in SMART is measurable, right? So you need to be able to have some kind of system in place that allows you to measure the result, right? If I just said, again, I want to increase my client base by 20%, okay, great, that's a specific goal, but is it possible for you to measure it? And how are you going to measure it? So make sure that you have some kind of system in place to allow you to track, right, very, very specifically what your goal is. The A in SMART goal is achievable, right? In order for us to actually be able to sustain the momentum of working towards a goal, is it has to be achievable. Sometimes we are grandiose in our thoughts and we're like, I want to triple sales. And you know what? We set that target and we start off, but very quickly, if we're not actually, on track to triple goals, because that's a pretty lofty objective, we can lose motivation very, very quickly and then just completely disengage from the process. So you need to make sure that the goal that's being set is achievable and realistic. Now, this is important, especially when you are goal setting with somebody else, right? Let's say that you're giving a target to an employee, right? But you, as the boss, as the owner, you think that it's achievable. But if the employee does not believe that it's achievable, where's their motivation level going to be? Right? Think about that. It's going to be zero. So you need to balance that gap and make sure that it seems achievable and realistic to the person who's actually going to be working towards that goal. So sometimes there has to be some collaborative goal setting involved. All right, the R in SMART is it has to be a relevant goal. What do we mean by relevant? It has to kind of align with the overall vision, let's say, of your business. You want to make sure that it's maybe a piece of the bigger picture of what you're trying to accomplish, right? If you're setting goals, make sure that it's actually helping you accomplish more than just that one goal, but that it fits into the overall vision that you have for where your business is going. So for an example, if an eco-friendly beauty concept is, part of your salon values, then you want to make sure that specific objectives that you are setting and working towards also kind of fit in with your overall objective of becoming more and more of an environmentally friendly, business. Then lastly, the T in SMART is time-bound goals, right? So there has to be a very specific time period associated with your goal. It's not just about, I want to, increase client base by 20%, or I want to make $100,000, or I want to hit, 10,000 followers on Instagram. You have to associate a specific time to it as well. And all this fits together, right? We talked about measurement, the M in SMART. So you're going to be measuring your goal specific to a time frame at the same time, essentially, right? So that's a quick recap of what the SMART goal is. But I really want to delve our attention into how do we bring this to life in real world salon environments. So Sarah, being a salon owner yourself, a service provider yourself, can you walk us through how you are incorporating SMART goals into your salon world with your team?
Yeah, for sure. So like I say, this is something that we really put a lot of focus on with our team in the salon. And so what we'll do is usually quarterly, twice a year, whatever the time frame might be, we will sit down at one of our staff meetings and do a performance planning kind of session in which they all make a chart. So again, just like you did, we will do the same thing, give a quick review of what a SMART goal is. Because that's one of the major things that we start with or whatever. And I'm going to kind of explain exactly how we make this happen and then explain every step along the way and why we do it that way. So how it starts is we get all of the girls, just to simplify things, I'm just going to make this easier, but we get them to take a goal, or make a goal for personal, professional, interpersonal, all of these different things. So it's kind of every aspect of their life. But if we're focusing mostly on professional, because we're talking about salons here,
Yeah.
let's say they make 3 objectives that they want to set goals for to complete within a 6 month time period. So this brings in that T, right? We kind of almost start backwards and we start with the time frame, so that the goals that they are setting are relevant to that time frame, and they can measure how they can achieve these specific goals within that time frame, right? So how we kind of do this is we give, like a big, piece of poster board, and they have to start with the end goal in mind. So if we're doing this for a 6 month period, let's say, and let's say one of the specific goals they are setting is that they want to bring in 10 new clients within this 6 month period. They would, and again, it has to be specific. It can't just be, oh, I want to, build my clientele in the next 10 months. It has to be something very specific. So you pick a number or a percentage or whatever that might be. And then you set that up like just with a little sticky note as the last thing in mind, and you build backwards. So, for example, with the 10 clients, let's say we're doing this over a 6 month period, right? So, at the last month, they will have 10 new clients, which means the month before, they probably should have 8-ish new clients, right? Because again, we want to make this achievable. We don't want to say you're going to have 50 new clients and then you have to bring in, 10 every single month. Like that might not be as achievable for a new stylist, right? So if by month 5 they have 8 clients, then by month 4 they probably have 6. By month 3 they probably have 4. By month 2 they probably have 2 new clients. And then that means your first month is planning how you're going to get these clients, how you're going to track this, everything like that, right? So it breaks it down into like bite-sized chunks, so it doesn't seem so daunting that like, oh my gosh, I need to have 10 new clients. It's more like, well, you only need to actually have 2 new clients every month. And if one month's slow and you have 1 new client, then maybe the next month, how are you going to get 3 new clients, right?
I love that. Really good that you're incorporating the specific goal, the S, with the T, the time-based goal. And obviously, if we're dealing with a longer term, you can then break it down into shorter goals, right? That are all building up to accomplish the larger goal at the end, correct?
Totally. And that's the whole thing, is almost working backwards. So again, once you have this kind of roadmap as to like, okay, so I'm going to get 2 new clients this month, 2 new clients this month, then how are you going to actually do it? How are you going to achieve it? So in the first month, I'm going to plan, what I'm going to do. In the second month, I'm going to reach out to 15 new people on social media. In the third month, I'm going to take my business cards and go hand them out to local businesses around me.
And
In
how
the fifth,
many business cards am I going to hand out, right? Like you can get really
exactly.
specific with that as well to understand, okay, if I need 2 new clients, how many business cards, you know, do I need to hand out in order to help me? And you can probably get some feedback from historical, like, okay, if you hand out 100 business cards, you get typically, 2 of them are going to come back as clients or whatnot.
Absolutely. In the fifth month, I'm going to reach out to the people that came to me in the first month to see if they are needing, a retouch. Whatever it might be, you can break it down super, super specifically. And also, again, having that tracking. So if your point of sale system does track, retention and new guests and everything like that, wonderful. The work's all done for you, right? You just need to run a report. But if you don't have a point of sale system that does this, maybe it's just a physical tracker, right? Where you actually say, okay, in April, I got X amount of new clients. In May, I got X amount of new clients, whatever it might be. But so, yeah, like I say, I'm like, with this way of planning, it just breaks down every single goal into bite-sized chunks and kind of gives you like specific things that you need to concentrate on that month without it being overwhelming. And then again, at the end of 6 months, you can actually go back and see what worked and what didn't. Whereas a lot of times, if you, sit down with your team and they're like, I'm going to build my clientele this year, there's no way of tracking it. There's no way of measuring it. Like by the next year, how do you know if you've built your clientele based on nothing, right? Like, and maybe your books are fuller and maybe your chair is fuller, but like what worked? What goal was achieved there, right? So, especially for those newbies building up and like especially wanting to build a clientele, this is a really good way of doing it. Another thing that we see a lot because we do professional and personal goals is, let's say they want to save up $2,000 or pay off their credit card by the end of 6 months, right? Same thing. You start with that goal in mind, and then you figure out how much money you need to save or put away or whatever it is, kind of thing, every single month. And then you break it down even further by what do I need to do to make that money. So again, if you're wanting to save, 200 bucks a month or something, and depending on what your, commission strategy is or anything like that, it's like, okay, I need to sell $2,000 worth of retail in April so that I can save $200 in April. And then in May, I need to have my service dollars be X amount so that I can put an extra couple $100 away for it. So again, once you have kind of like the big idea in mind, it's easier to break it down like that. And it just doesn't seem nearly as daunting for them as it would be like if I told you tomorrow you have to have $5,000 saved by, August. It'd be like, ugh, $5,000. But if you break that down month by month, week by week, day by day, and it's like, actually, you only need to save $60 a day or earn an extra $60 per day, which means you need to sell 2 extra retail products or whatever it might be. It just makes it a lot less scary and a lot more realistic, I guess.
Yeah, and that's often going to be the role of the salon owner or manager. Like as a leader, you have to help the employee see, right, what's possible. Help them surpass maybe any fears that they have by helping them break it down, because it's not natural for some people to be able to do this, right? So is it a kind of a collaborative experience that you have in order to do that? And how do you also, let's start with that. Is it a collaborative in terms of how you've just explained that, helping them sort of see how to break those goals down into smaller bite-sized chunks?
Absolutely. And I won't lie, we do always have pushback with this because it seems overwhelming. But once you get into the groove of it and once you can kind of help them, break it down like that, it's they're a lot more receptive to it, right? So what we do is we have a specific staff meeting set aside that we just do this for. So let's say it's an hour, 2 hours where we're doing this, and we break down the basics. We get everybody started, be like, first things first, start with the end goal in mind. Once they have that, then we can sit down with them and kind of help to break it all down. And then again, depending on how your salon runs things, like we typically do monthly professional development meetings. So we have the opportunity to then sit down and be like, hey, where are we at in terms of our goals for the past month, kind of thing? Oh, well, I fell short. Okay, well, how are we going to hold ourselves accountable? How can we hold you accountable? What types of things do we need to do next month that didn't work last month that we can then, kind of compensate for what we didn't do last month? So again, we have pretty aggressive accountability, which again, for some people works wonderfully. Some people are not into it, kind of thing. But I feel like, again, like just for the type of culture that we have and the type of team environment we have, that seems to be really beneficial to be able to like sit down with them on a pretty regular basis, to not only see where they're at and hold them accountable, but also help them to kind of game plan and collaborate on ideas on how they can actually achieve said said goal for that month.
Nice. So we've kind of touched upon the specific goal, the measuring and tracking. It sounds like, you have those trackers in place. You could pull reports, but you have a dedicated meeting monthly to really review this and see how the tracking is happening and then adjust as necessary. Really, really important that you have that on a regular basis. You talked about, Achievable and how you as the owner are kind of helping them see the realistic nature of it and sort of helping them break down that it's, it might seem big, but, $5,000, but actually if you start breaking it down, month by month, week by week, day by day, it's way more achievable. We talked about the timeline, obviously, of being important. I'm curious to know how you balance as an owner, like who is setting the goal, because this can sometimes be the conflict. Maybe the employee says, oh, you know what, I'm happy if I just get, an extra, 2 clients in the next 6 months. I'm good with that. And maybe the owner feels like it's not enough and the owner wants to set a target. So who's responsible for setting the target, and how do you balance it to be, achievable and realistic for the employee?
I'm sure this is a struggle that every business owner has, is like, you want more for your employees than they typically want for themselves. And at the end of the day, like, you can't do the work for them. So that's a big thing. Like, even like, again, with the tracking, with the going out and doing things, like, I look at it as I'm your resource to be able to like set these things in place, but I'm absolutely not doing the work for you. And we also do have like, again, our salon in particular, I'm like, we are trying to build career stylists, people that want to make good money, be financially independent, build, good, healthy careers and everything like that. And if that's not for you, our salon probably isn't the place for it. So again, if people come in with these, I only want 2 clients this week, I'm only going to put in as much effort as you're going to put in to it, kind of thing. So I feel like it really is the onus of the employee. Again, I just look at it as like, if you need help to get to that point or to come up with these goals, I'm more than happy to be that resource for you, but I'm absolutely not going to break my back if you're not even lifting a finger, So I think that that's an important thing to realize too, is that as the owner, you are a resource and you can help them with these types of things, but you can only help people as much as they want to be helped. And at the end of the day, they have to be the ones that put in the work, right? So again, depending on what type of stylists are typically at your salon, like you might have people, we have people like this too. And I can't say that I wouldn't necessarily be this type of stylist where it's like, okay, I come, I do my thing. I seem to be busy enough. I'm happy with the paycheck I get and I leave at the end of the day. I'm not really, like maybe I don't want to be growing substantially. Maybe I am comfortable with where I'm at and that's fine. But yeah, as an owner, like for those types of stylists and stuff like that, like, again, I'm not going to invest a ton of energy into you if you're not willing to invest it into yourself.
That is so well said, Sarah. I'm not even going to try to add on or summarize that. Everybody, if you didn't catch that, pause, rewind about a minute and listen to that again. Really, really powerful and super, super important in this whole process. All right. Sarah, thank you very much for kind of helping break down some real life examples of how you incorporate this in your salon with your employees. At the end of the day, incorporating SMART goals into your overall sort of salon management and progress and strategy is critical, and it can really revolutionize, your growth and how you approach your company. It seems so simple, right? We've all heard SMART goals. Yeah. But if you really take the time to break it down and make sure that every objective that you're setting follows these criteria, it really makes it foolproof, because you have a very specific goal with a timeline associated to it. You have a way that you're going to be measuring it and tracking it. It's relevant. It's fitting into, the overall vision of your company. Every single thing that you do should be following that system. And if you can get your team all on board with this, it can not only create, positive energy and motivation and momentum, but then everybody kind of builds on each other's successes, sees other people having success, and it's a positive cycle that can help you grow. We hope that you picked up something that maybe you feel like you can be doing a little bit better, a little bit differently in your salon company to help you achieve more success. We love to hear your success stories. And if you have ways that you've been incorporating SMART goals effectively into your salon, please share that with us so that we can share with the community. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Go out there, have an amazing day, and let's be smart. Thank you so much for listening to the Salon Scoop podcast. This show is produced by Salon S.O.S, a digital marketing agency by industry professionals for industry professionals. If you want simple and affordable solutions for any of your salon marketing needs, such as websites, client loyalty, Google search rankings, social media, or more, come visit us at salonsos.ca or on Instagram at salon.s.o.s. If you want to hear more episodes like this and help us continue to bring the industry great content, it would mean so much to us if you would support us in one of the following ways. Either share this episode with one other industry professional, and rate the show on Spotify or write us a quick review on Apple Music. We want to hear your feedback. If you have follow-up questions or ideas for future episodes, please reach out. DM us on Instagram at salonus.s.o.s or hit us up on our website again at salonsos.ca. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go get your hustle on, keep smiling, and we'll catch you on our next episode.